So now what we've done is we've switched over to a Gibson guitar. This is an Epiphone 335, but it has Gibson classic 57 pickups in it. Just to give you the, the humbucker is going to have a higher output, so it's going to drive these amps a little harder. That's on like 1, right? Just to make it clean. And even that has a little dirt to it, but then cool. Fun. So then we'll move over, let's mess around a little bit with this is the 66 Deluxe. Has reverb, you can get really swampy with the verb, try it. Has vibrato and verb. And then being a non-master volume amp, which all of these are, with the exception of this one, no, that one, this one's just a little bit different. Like the Tweed, you can turn them up, and the more I won't do this for too long, so I don't want to hurt you, but you can make these start you can make them start to growl. So then you have, like, let's say this one. One thing that the Super and the Vibro have on them, this is a 68, they have a bright switch, which changes their character pretty dramatically, actually. These ones also you can break up. The Super this is the two biggest highest output amps that Fender made at that time were the Super and the Bassman. So when you turn it up to growl at you, it gets really loud because it's a 410. It's fun though. And then you have like a similar thing with the Vibrolux. It also has a bright switch. Has vibrato. So that's one of the fun things about these non-master volume amps is that you can play them totally clean, or you can put them sort of right on the edge of breakup, which means that the more you dig in with the guitar, the more they push the amp and they break up. Or you can turn them up even past that and they just basically break up all the time. I've always thought that with non-master volume amps that they don't necessarily so much get louder as they just get dirtier, which I think is why Fender later built amps that had higher clean headroom. Like this amp, you can keep turning it up and I don't think it'll break up. So I don't know if from any of that, George, you had any thoughts on any of these three versus each other? being the 66, the 68, or the 72.
Yeah, well, I'd be curious just if I continuously play, if we just switch the cable and
Let's do it.
let people hear.
Okay, so you want it like a kind of an edge of breakup kind of
Yeah,
situation?
I think edge of breakup, yeah.
Okay. So here we go, 66.
Really hear the difference between the EQ profile of the Deluxe versus the Vibrolux.
I think the Vibrolux sounds tighter. I think the Deluxe sounds a little more open to me. The Deluxe has a 112, the Vibrolux has a 210. The 112 and that Deluxe is a Weber replacement. This one has its original, the Vibrolux has its original Blue Label Oxford speakers in it. This one feels tighter to me than that one. So then these both have 10s in them. This has its original Oxford 10s, 210s. This has 4 Eminence replacement speakers in it. But it's a 410, 210. So let's do, actually we'll switch it up. We'll do the non-vibrato channel, just the dry channel. One thing that the Super has that none of the rest of them have is a mid-range control. It's kind of interesting. You can scoop the mids out on it. These ones don't have that. These just have treble and bass. Yeah, I think that's fairly interesting. Another one is the Vox. The Vox is kind of a completely different animal. These are all 6L6 power tube amplifiers, all the Fenders. The Vox is an EL84, so it's a little more in common with a Marshall. It will break up. You can make this one distort. It's a pretty amp, and that's the normal channel, not the top boost. The top boost gets pretty bright on that amp, which if you have like a Telecaster could be exceptionally bright. This amp has a whole overdrive circuit built in. I have to get the pedal for that, as does that one. But we're kind of doing clean today, so probably just stay away from that. The last guy on the side over here is this Magnatone, and this one, I think it's a 1965 Magnatone, and it's just kind of a whole nother animal. So it has 3 different settings for the preamp. It has dark, medium, and it has bright. And then it also, you can overdrive And actually, this amp has two completely different preamp, power amp sections. It's like 2 amps in one. And the reason for that is that in addition to reverb, which this amp has a really big reverb sound. On the reverb, it has a tremolo, but only the tremolo's only on the reverb. Which is pretty cool. But what this amp has, and the reason it has two complete preamp power amp sections, 2 amps essentially in one, is it has pitch shifting vibrato. So it had the vibrato on the Fender amps is tremolo. It's not vibrato. So the difference is that tremolo is a volume effect. It's like turning the volume up and down very quickly, or you can adjust the rate of it. But vibrato, as opposed to tremolo, is a pitch shifting effect. And you can think about a Stratocaster or a Bigsby. When you push it down, it bends the pitch of the strings.
Sure.
That's what vibrato does. So it's like a chorusing effect. And some of the Fenders around 1960 had it. The brown face era, they had vibrato on some of those amps. But Magnatone always had it, and that was one of Magnatone's big things that sort of set them apart. It is in stereo, so the vibrato moves from speaker to speaker, and that's why the amp has 2 separate whole amps inside of it, because it has to push between the 2 speakers constantly. So this is the vibrato. I'll turn it on. Speed it up. So I think, it's such a cool sound. It sounds like a Leslie to me, the vibrato on this. That's pretty wild. I sort of think of this amp as when you turn all those effects on all the way. I sort of think of it as like the best the 60s had to offer. Yeah. They had got, they'd figured out spring reverb, and they'd figured out pitch shifting vibrato, and they'd figured out tremolo, and this amp seems to throw all of it in the same package. Whereas these ones don't have the vibrato aspect to them, but they have the tremolo. And then maybe today we have some time, we could go put the guitar into the Leslie upstairs, and you could actually hear a real Leslie speaker with a guitar, which is a whole other experience.
Yeah.